How about registration number?
Sir, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I am able to see that.
Yes, sir. Here,
How about registration number?
registration 120, sir. 120 registrations.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. After GST invoice, how to issue, our team will take care of the demo for at minimum 10 minutes. After that, we will go to invoice comment challenges.
Okay.
Sir, you can see my screen, right?
Yes. Yes, I am able to see that.
Sir, did you join? And the content. Speaker ಕೂಡ ಆಫ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಫುಲ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್, ಅದು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಅಡಿಷನ್. ಓಕೆ. Hello, sir. I'm starting the webinar. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Please confirm with yes or no in the chat box if I'm audible. Audience, please type yes or no in chat box if I'm audible. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep Anand. Thank you for joining the webinar. Audience, we'll be starting the webinar in another 10 minutes since most of the audience also trying to join. I can see so many participants, repeated participants from our previous webinars also. Good to see you all. Thank you all for joining the webinar. Will we begin the webinar shortly? While we are waiting for to start, is from finance background and accounts background. Please type yes if you are from finance or audience accounts background. Audience, please type yes or no in chat box if you are from finance and account background. Also, if you are from different backgrounds like HR, procurement, you can mention in the chat box so that we can alter our webinar according to that. Thank you, Sudipta Chatterjee. Thank you, Sandeep Anand. Thank you, Avinash Kulal. Audience, we'll be starting the webinar in another 5 minutes since most of the other audience also joining. While we all know today's topic is, I'd like to know what is the audience expecting from the webinar. If you have any suggestions or any responses related to the topic, you can mention in the chat box so that we can alter the topic and we can focus more on the specific topic of today's webinar. Please write your expectations on the webinar so that we can focus on the Good evening, everyone. My name is Pawan Kumar Sahu. I handle product marketing at Websol. I'll be your moderator for the day. Before we head into the webinar, I'd like to give you a small introduction of our company that I represent from. I'll try to keep it short. Websol was part of Wipro back in the days. We were the printer manufacturing division of Wipro and we are specialized in dot matrix printer category. Over the years, the company decided to step out of the Wipro and form a separate entity in the name of Web Solutions. Our signature offering, managed print services, was carried out over 2 decades, and with evolving needs and changing market trends, we decided to bring digital workplace solutions to our portfolio. We expanded our product and service portfolio to cater mass markets. Over the years, we also collaborated with market giants like Ricoh and Fujifilm. I'd like to highlight one of the milestones in our journey that we underwent complete brand refresh or transformation that we are now known as Websol. Let us move into the next slide where we talk about some quick company highlights followed by the services that we offer in brief. We come up with 20 years of industry experience with over 500 enterprise customers. We are presented in over 2,000 plus service locations. In fact, we also awarded as Best DMS Solution Company of the Year in 2022. We are called as India's #1 MPS company in India. You can see some of our trusted clients also like Herbalife, JL Morrison, Tata Capital, HDFC, etc. Moving on, FluidWorks is our intelligence workplace suite catering to wide range of interdepartmental functions. We have gamut of offerings under FluidWorks, which I will explain in the upcoming slide. As we say, Fluid Pro is our managed IT services portfolio where we offer infrastructure, consulting services, cybersecurity solutions, remote monitoring, and management solutions. Moving on to Fluid Print, we offer print infrastructure solutions according to your customer requirements. We also offer both CapEx and OpEx models, and we charge the customer on paper print basis. We are #1 in India for this business. Fluid Trail is our process automation solution, which we offer document management hosted on Azure Cloud. With this, we can automate all your office processes like employee records management, candidate onboarding, contract management, inventory management, etc. We also offer a managed GST solution for filing, reconciliation, e-invoice, e-way bill automation, etc. Since most of the audience is from finance and accounts background, if you want to know more about our flow tax, our managed GST solution for reconciliation, filing, e-invoice, e-way bill automation, we are providing a free demo. I'll quickly launch a poll to take your acceptance on this poll, on this free demo. If anyone interested to take our free demo on FlowTax, which is automated solution for reconciliation, e-invoicing, e-way bill, automation, etc., you can click on X so that our team will reach out to you for the free demo. We have also implemented the new features like invoice management system and some AI related features into our platform. So if anyone wants to know more about FlowTax, we are providing a free demo so that you can know better on all the processes on how to automate GST reconciliation, e-invoicing, e-way bill automation, and GST filing, etc. Please click S so that our team can reach out to you. We can see good number of participants opting for S. We'll be definitely contacting you for the free demo so that you can know better on all the processes in the GST management. Thank you, audience. I'll be ending the poll. If anyone are still interested, you can contact me at pawan.sahu@websol.com. You can mail me or you can call me through our promotional emails. Moving forward, I'd like to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Akela Prakash Rao sir. Mr. Akela is an independent indirect tax advocate. He graduated in 1989 from BITS Pilani in Electrical and Electronics Engineering. He is also a gold medal holder who completed LLB from Andhra University in year 2001, and he has more than 27 years of experience in the field of indirect taxes with exposure in government, consultancy, and industries like auto and pharma. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today, sir. I'm sure audience is also looking forward to directly hearing from you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
This electronic invoicing system has again came to the limelight after the introduction of the invoice management system, IMS. So last month, as a precursor to this, that we have covered the IMS, and in the next week that we are going to have another webinar. Incidentally, in a with a gap of just a week, that we are going to cover the e-way bill also, which is a very important tool in the GST administration. So today in this webinar that we are going to cover the electronic invoicing, which was initially covered in the past also, but we are just refreshing all those ideas so that one will be prepared for the IMS. And also we are looking forward like what is going to be the future with e-invoicing after the introduction of the IMS. So that is what is the significance behind selecting this topic today. So in this webinar, the agenda will be that what is the evolution cycle of the e-invoicing in India, and why does e-invoicing matters, and what is the automation in the e-invoicing compliance processes, and what are the common challenges you have, with a question and answer. And as informed by Pawan initially in the opening remarks, that the live demonstration of e-invoicing piece of it, that you can have a glimpse of it during this webinar today. So we'll start with the agenda as decided. Next slide, please. Yeah, electronic invoicing is a revolutionary concept under the goods and service tax regime, introduced primarily to check the bogus invoicing and the circular trading. This is applicable in the case of business to business transactions only. This is applicable to business transactions only, is a very important thing that one needs to keep it in mind. It has not yet been extended to the business to consumers, B2C transactions as on today. So this was conceptualized during the 35th GST Council meeting and was introduced in a phased manner based on the turnover of the registered SSCs. GST Council approved the standard of e-invoices in its 37th meeting held on 20th September 2019, and the same along with the schema has been published on the GST portal. Currently, it is applicable for all those whose turnover is more than 10 crores in the previous financial year, and this threshold will be 5 crores effective 1st of August 2023. This is likely to be made applicable universally with the minimum exceptions from the next financial year. That is what is the expectation. The important point to keep in mind is that this is not a facility to generate invoices by the SSCs. What you need to keep it in mind is this is not a facility to generate invoices, but only a ratifying facility for the already generated invoice, wherein specified details of the invoice are submitted to the GST portal for validation. So this is a validation exercise of the already generated invoices at your end, but not a process for generating the invoices. So once the invoice is validated, the invoice generation portal will give you an IRP number on the GST portal, and it will return a digitally signed invoice with a QR code incorporating all the statutory information pertaining to such invoice with an invoice reference number. One IRN gets generated for each of the invoice that is validated by this portal. So that is the whole concept of it, and that's how the e-invoicing was introduced for digitizing the entire GST mechanism in India. Next slide, please. Since there was no standard for e-invoicing existing in the country, standard for the same has been finalized after consultation with the trade industry, after keeping the draft in the public place. Having a standard is a must to ensure complete interoperability of the e-invoicing across the entire GST ecosystem, so that e-invoices generated by one software can be read by any other software, and thereby eliminating the need for fresh data entry, which is a norm and standard expectation today. The machine readability and uniform interpretation is the key objective, and this is also important for reporting the details to the GST system as part of the return preparation. Apart from the GST system, adoption of a standard will also ensure that e-invoice shared by a seller with his buyer or bank or agent or any other player in the whole business ecosystem can be read by machines and obviate and hence eliminate the data entry errors. So the whole objective of introducing the e-invoicing is to have a better relationship, accuracy and reconciliation, cost reduction, paper elimination, internal controls, early payment. All these are going to be facilitated by using the e-invoice, because you can generate your invoice on any software, be it Tally, Zoho, whatever it is that you are using, Excel, anything that you can use it. But what are the important fields in that invoicing will be communicated in the e-invoicing portal, and they will be validated, and the QR code gets generated, and the IRN number also is generated on the portal. So with the QR code or the IRN number, that one gets to know the important fields of the invoice, and it can be read by any other system. So it is in the machine readable form, and it can be shared with anyone. Hence, it is agnostic to the software with which the invoice gets generated or the ERP that you are maintaining at your end. So this is the key point that one needs to keep it in mind. Next slide, please. Yeah. So benefits of invoicing, as we discussed, that standardization. So one-time reporting of the B2B invoice data in the form, it is generated to reduce reporting in the multiple formats. One for GSTR1, another for the e-way bill, that is not required. So once the standard form in which that you are filled all the fields, the same data will be put to use for the invoicing as well as e-way bill generation, and subsequently for the returns preparation also. So the auto generation of the sales and purchase registers, and to generate the sales and purchase registers from this data to keep the returns ready for filing under the new return methodology. And the e-way bill also can be generated using the invoice data. So there is going to be a seamless reconciliation of the data and verification between the supplier and the recipient. And that's how the IMS system has come into existence also as a branch out of this. And then there will be reduction in the overall complaints burden. So lesser complaints, substantial reduction in the ITC verification issues, and the same data will get reported to the tax department as well as to the buyer in his inward supply register. So that is what that you might have seen in the IMS, what is happening. And elimination of fake invoices, reduction of the tax evasion, and system level matching of the ITC and the output tax, and information availability in the near real-time availability of the information to all the participants in the supply chain. And it is also going to be environmental friendly, because it is eliminating the usage of the paper, for which you have to cut many trees. So the monotonous work of collecting and matching and manual work of the officers is also getting eliminated by use of this digitization. Next slide, please. Yeah, GST e-invoice. So it is going to be a digitally signed and verifiable standardized format, seamless integration with e-way bill system, auto population in the returns, validated invoices for quick claim of ITC, 24/7 accessible service, interoperable services from 2 portals, and the phased implementation so that the entire ecosystem is not disturbed by overnight changes. And then multiple modes of operations like web, API, bulk tools are available. And it is an economic indicator and ease of doing business. It helps in the ease of doing business. And GPPA, an offline tool for bulk generation of IRN, has also been rolled out. And from 1st October 2020 to 1st October 2024, 700 crore invoices were issued by 1135 lakh suppliers to 137 lakh recipients as per the CBIC website. So you can imagine the amount of the invoicing portal being put to use for conducting the transactions within a short period of 4 years. 700 crores of invoices were reported. Mind you, this is only B2B. So if you add the B2C, which predominantly the e-com operators are going to use, you can see the kind of a number that we can think of. Next slide, please. Yeah, how the e-invoice is going to be beneficial to the taxpayers. It saves your time because with e-invoicing, many unnecessary steps are cut out in the invoicing process. Both you as well as your customer will save time in using the e-invoices. It will reduce the cost because it is a paperless invoice and it can be communicated through the emails or the even the WhatsApp also. So you need not search for a cover and a postal stamps or to hand it over to the transporter and en route he will be missing your this cover and all that. Such a kind of issues are not going to be there. So you can concentrate on other value added tasks instead of wasting your money on this unproductive things. And you can reduce even the mistakes also because once in the automation, whatever is the data that you are submitting on the GST and e-invoicing portal, those data are going to be validated in terms of their format also, whether the date is to be reported as DDMMYYYY or MMDDYYYY. There is going to be a standard format in which you have to submit the data, then only it will accept. So all such kind of things, once it is taken care, then the number of mistakes will come down. Thereby, your ITC availment will be much better. It offers better customer service because it gets an e-invoice to the desired platform. Receiving an invoice instead of a paper invoice will save up to 90% of your processing costs. And it is easier to keep track of e-invoices also, that when an invoice has been sent, viewed and paid, when using a e-invoicing system, it will be very easy. That's how the people are able to now monitor that what are the invoices that are generated, how many of them already got paid, and how many are more to be pursued, and how many of them are MSME, how many of them are B2B, how many of them are B2C. Everything is going to be a system driven, so there is no manual intervention in it. So it will be easy for keeping track of them, and higher degree of control and insight into the invoicing process. So if you use online invoicing software, everything is saved on one platform, which is accessible from anywhere on any device. So that gives operational freedom for you, and it will give enhanced controlling mechanism for in your hands. Next slide, please.
So can I launch a poll, sir?
Yeah, please.
Audience, you can see a poll on your screens. You can click the correct answer on the screen of your poll box. What is the significance of QR code in e-invoices? Marketing purposes, contains statutory information, facilitates payment, acts as digital signature. Please type your answers in the poll box. Also, audience, I want to let you know, next week we have another webinar with e-way bill systems. So I will be sending one post-webinar mail along with the invitation to join the webinar. You can see most of the audience are selecting correct answer.
Yeah, see, the QR code, essentially, whatever is the information that you have shared with the GST and e-invoicing portal, only that information will be available in the QR code. Hence, it contains the statutory information. It will not help in facilitating the payment because it's not a payment QR code, or it doesn't act as a digital signature. And definitely, it is not for the marketing purposes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, next slide, please.
What is it? Yes.
Yeah. So how the invoicing system has been introduced in a phased manner from up to 500 crores. It was applicable date is 1/10/2020. 100 crores that it has been brought down from 1st of January 2021. 50 crores immediately at the beginning of the financial year 1/4/2021. 20 crores in the next financial year 1/4/2022, and 10 crores on 1st of October 2022, and it has been brought down now to 5 crores from 1st of August 2023. And hopefully next year that they are going to introduce B2C on trial basis to some sectors, and then maybe all the invoices are going to be E-invoices only. Next slide, please. The relevant notification numbers are given for your reference purposes only. So the tax invoice, credit note, and debit note under section 34 are going to be the documents which require to be E-invoices. So taxable business to business sale of goods or services, business to government sale of goods or services via circular 198, exports, deemed exports, supplies to SEZ with or without tax payment, stock transfer, supply of services to distinct persons, SEZ developers, supplies under reverse charge covered by section 93 of the CGST Act are to be E-invoices. Next slide, please. Yeah, who should issue? So all registered SSCs who are into the B2B supplies of goods or services and whose annual turnover is above the specified limit. Currently, the limit is 5 crores. They have to issue only E-invoices. The E-invoice will facilitate seamless flow of information to various other processes like GSTR1 gets auto-populated, and similarly, e-way bill party also gets auto-populated. This will avoid duplication resulting in ease of doing business, also will avoid the possible clerical mistakes while retyping the information, and helps in faster reconciliation of data, facilitates interoperability of the various softwares being used by trade, will help in faster and accurate communication in supply chain, helps in curbing tax evasion, helps in real-time verification of information, gives less scope for manipulation. This is sum and substance of the entire the objective of introduction of E-invoicing. Next slide, please. So, who need not issue is also very important that we should know that an insurer or a banking or a financial institution, including non-banking financial companies and a GTA and a registered person supplying passenger transport services, a registered person supplying services by way of admission to the exhibition of cinematographic films in multiplex services, a SEZ unit excluded via CBIC notification 61 of 2020, a government department and local authority excluded via CBEC notification 23 of 21, and persons registered in terms of Rule 14 of the CGST rules, OIDAR. These people need not issue the delivery challenge, bill of supply, financial or commercial credit note or debit note, bill of entry, and ISD invoices are not going to be E-invoices. Any B2C sales, nil rated, non-taxable or exempt B2B sale of goods or services, nil rated or non-taxable or exempt B2G sale of goods or services, imports, IC sales, bonded warehouse sales, free trade warehousing zones, and supplies under reverse charge covered under section 94 of the CGST Act are not going to be E-invoices. So notified businesses, documents, transactions, what are not covered under the E-invoice are captured in this particular slide. So it is important that you need to keep this also in mind. Next slide, please. Yeah, below is the list of contents of a latest E-invoicing format as notified on 30th July 2020 via notification 60 of 2020. So there are 12 mandatory and optional sections and 6 annexes consisting of a total of 138 fields. Out of these 12 sections, 5 are mandatory and 7 are optional. 2 annexes are mandatory out of 6. So the 5 mandatory sections are the basic details, suppliers information, recipients information, invoice item details, and document total. The 2 mandatory annexes are detailed details of the items on the documents in total. The QR code will have the data of GSTN of the supplier and recipient, invoice number, date of generation of invoice, invoice value, number of line items, HSN code of the item with highest taxable value, unique IRN, and date of generation of the IRN. These are the very, very important key ingredients of an E-invoicing system. Next slide, please. Yeah, so you can see a small live demo of how the automation of E-invoicing using the flow tax software. So over to you, ProTax team.
Hello everyone. So here we are demonstrating our e-invoice platform. Like we have Flotex is delivering two different services which are related to ASP. Like ASP is nothing but application service platform. Manual where it is included with the manual upload kind of thing. So wherever it is coming to the GSP and ASP integration, it is related to the completely automation kind of thing. So there is no manual intervention which will be whenever you have integrated with your ERP system. So I'm going to our platform demonstration, how it will be worked, the process step to be generating the e-invoices. So under this e-invoice, we have a different kind of dashboard related thing. Under this dashboard, we are bifurcating like how many invoices has been generated, how many has been cancelled. Based upon the period wise, here we are bifurcating like number of invoices generated, number of cancelled, and number of invoices are not generated and due to the error, like we are showing in the dashboard related thing. Here is the information related to irrespective of company, how many GSTN has been onboarded, and that particular GSTN, how many invoices are generated, cancelled, and not generated, and error records also we are displaying here, where you can also export the report in this particular dashboard also. And the next one is like what is a process flow. Like here we have to upload the standard template of e-invoice. Here it will be displaying the number of processed records and error records which have been processed successfully. And then the next step is under the generate IRN, you have to generate this particular GST number and the return date, and record type as all. If particular invoice has been generated, the status will be displayed here as IRN has been generated. So system automatically will generate the invoices bulk wise. There is an option which we have given as a bulk wise also, and manually also you can generate the invoices by clicking onto this particular line item wise invoices. So here you can export the print option also, like where you can export the PDF. So this is a PDF which you can able to download bulk wise all together, monthly or yearly also you can able to download the invoices from our system. So likewise, if you want to cancel any year, and as you are already aware, like within 24 hours, we need to cancel the invoice. So here we have given an option to cancel the invoice also in our system. Based upon the IRN number, directly you can able to cancel the year, e-invoice within 24 hours. If suppose if you are not able to cancel the invoice, you need to raise the credit note for that particular B2B or CDNR invoice. This is the process flow for complete structure of our generating any invoices in our system. So whenever it is coming to the integration kind of thing, if suppose if you have an any ERP kind of thing, directly you can able to integrate our APIs in your ERP system, where it will directly like this is a process flow and architecture what we have been designed. Like from your ERP system, it will route to the WebGSP API. From WebGSP API, it will route to the IRP portal. From there, whatever the response is coming, again it will be routing to the ERP system. So here, web is a mediator between the ERP and the NIC portal. And so this is a complete process of the e-invoice system in our platform. Do you have any clarification or questions? Please let us know. Thank you all.
Audience, I hope you understand the process of e-invoicing in automatic system. We also have other services like e-way bill, GST filing, reconciliation, and others in our software, flow tax. If anyone wants to know detailed clarification and detailed explanation of how exactly the flow tax and automation, GST automation works, you can reach out to me at pawan.sahu@websol.com. And also, we will be contacting the people who opted for demo. And if anyone wants to know more about the automated platform, you can also message in the chat box so that we can pick it up their names. Please, audience, can you, if anyone interested in the automation solution, you can type in the chat box so that we can pick it up and we will give you a free demo of the flow tax.
So I think Mr. Anil D is having a query. So if you can allow him, maybe that he will be able to.
Yes, sir. Mr. Anil, you can unmute yourself and you can talk.
Sir, then what is the difference between this manual upload of invoices and the routing through API? How it works? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Anil. Yeah, our flow tax team can explain.
Yeah.
Hi, Anil. So here is the difference between the manual upload kind of thing and the integration is if suppose if you have any ERP in your system, like
Yeah.
do you have any ERP kind of thing?
Yeah, we have our own tailor-made ERP.
Okay, so normally how it will work is, so wherever as I told you, right, ASP related thing, it is a manual upload. Manual upload is nothing but like where you have to fill the Excel template, like we have your own standard template.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have to upload and you have to generate the invoices. Whenever it is coming to the integration, right? So we have a customized APIs. So that APIs you have to integrate in your ERP system. So once you have integrated, there is no manual intervention based upon that what once you have hitted the APIs, it will generate the e-invoice and it will throw an error like a success response it will come.
Is it
So for
going to
that
be
integrate,
is
sorry
it
sir.
going to be a lengthy process, or it automatically gets
No,
integrated?
no, it will automatically generate within seconds of. See, implementation may take time, like it will be 1 month kind of thing, according to your ERP, how it is, like a prerequisites kind of thing. Initial prerequisites we will take. So based upon that, one-time implementation will be there. Once the implementation has been completed, right?
Yeah.
So automatically within fraction of seconds, the invoices will be generated. It will not take lengthy because these are the REST APIs where we are getting the successful response from the IRP portal in the live instances. There are a number of existing customers who are using our integration process also.
Okay. Thank you so much.
GSP and ASP is both are same only. Like
Okay.
in GSP, there will be no platform access which will be not given. But whenever it is coming to the ASP integration, platform also will be provided. If suppose in your system any downtime is there, you can able to use our ASP platform and you can upload bulkwise for generating the invoices. The only differences between ASP and GSP is this only.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Anil.
Any more questions, sir?
No, thank you.
I think Mr. Gajendra Kumar is looking at IMS support. So if you can provide, maybe you can answer him.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gajendra, we will be contacting you for the IMS support. Audience, if anyone have any questions related to this, you can raise your hands or else you can type in the chat box. Looks like there is no questions. We will be taking your questions in the Q&A session in the end of the webinar also. Sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah. So some of the common challenges under the e-invoicing that once you have generated the invoice, you cannot cancel it partially. Unfortunately, that there are some 4 line items only in respect of 1 line item that you have some problem that cancellation is not possible. And cancellation of the whole invoice is possible within 24 hours of generating it in the IRP. Thereafter, manually, it has to be cancelled by reporting it in the GSTR1 only. The turnover threshold for e-invoicing is at PAN level, not at individual GST registration level. So that you need to keep it in mind. There is no time limit prescribed for generating an e-invoice, but it is advisable to generate it post creating of invoice and uploading it in the GST R1. However, please keep it in mind. Point number 4 is as it stands today, but now that they are going to come up with a timeline of 30 days, that once you have generated the invoice within 30 days, that e-invoice has to be generated. So that such a kind of a restriction is going to be implemented from the coming year onwards. E-invoice need not be signed either physically or digitally because you do not have the option of accessing it in order to sign. So multiple copies of e-invoices are not necessary, unlike in the past where original, duplicate, triplicate used to be printed because it remains the same. So hence multiple copies of the same invoice is not necessary. Same invoice cannot have different IRNs, and similarly the same IRN cannot be put to use for two different invoices. Any amendment to e-invoice can be done only through GSTR1 only. So these are some of the limitations that we need to keep it in mind while dealing with GST, the e-invoicing system in the GST ecosystem. Next slide, please. Yeah, a e-commerce operator can generate e-invoice on behalf of his suppliers. There is no time limit prescribed between generation of the e-invoice and the e-way bill. And GSTN in partnership with ICAI drafted a e-invoice standard, which is refers to PEPOL, Pan-European Public Procurement Online, which is based on the Universal Business Language Standard. This takes into account the requirement under the tax laws and has features that are required for the international trade. It is not applicable for the ISD. Taxpayers must pay 100% of the tax due or 10,000 rupees, whichever is higher, if they do not generate any invoice. Moreover, the penalty for incorrect invoicing is 25,000 rupees per invoice. See, many show cause notices people are receiving, though they are dealing in B2B. They are predominantly dealing in the B2C, but still that they get notices because you may be thinking that you are generating all the invoices in the B2C, but the revenue authorities may be under the impression that they are all B2B invoices. So you need to carefully answer it because the penalties are hefty, 10,000 rupees or 100% of the tax, whichever is higher. If you do not generate any invoice, and for incorrect invoicing, 25,000 rupees per invoice. So that you have to keep it in mind while answering such kind of frivolous show cause notices. I'll say frivolous because in most of the cases, what we found that when the registered person is purely dealing in B2C, the authorities are coming and issuing a notice to him saying that why it is not a e-invoice. So there is no e-invoice required for imports because you cannot put any restrictions on your overseas suppliers. No e-invoice is applicable in the case of sale of goods on ICCL and as well as from the bonded warehouse. Carrying a physical copy of invoice is not necessary as copy in digital is sufficient during the transportation of the goods. This has been upheld even by several of the high courts also during the litigation. Next slide, please.
Sir, can we launch a poll, sir?
Yeah, please.
Audience, we have posted one LinkedIn poll that we are running through our page. You can click the link in the chat box so that you'll be redirected to the LinkedIn page and you can participate in the poll. We have posted one LinkedIn poll link in the chat box. You click on the link, you will be redirected to the page, the link, the poll page for you to answer. I'll be reading out the poll. What is the primary purpose of GST e-invoicing? Increase sales, check bogus invoicing, promote international trade, reduce paperwork. Please type your answers in the poll, audience. The link has been posted in the chat box. Click the link in the chat box and you will be redirected to the LinkedIn poll directly. We can already see good number of responses for the LinkedIn poll. Also, audience, I would like to take some questions if you have. You can type in a chat box or Q&A session so that we will be having a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Or if you want to directly ask any questions with the sir, you can raise your hands so that I'll be enable you to talk with the sir directly. If you have any questions or queries, you can type in a chat box or else you can raise your hand if you directly want to talk to the sir. We can see a few questions in the chat box by Mr. Abdul and Anil D.
I'm going to take up them once I finish with my presentation.
Yes, sir. We are almost at the end of the webinar, sir.
Okay. So shall I go to the present this one Q&A?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is one query in the chat box that I could see. I'm addressing it, but all other queries request you to kindly post it in the Q&A. If e-invoice eligible taxpayer missing to prepare e-invoice, ITC available for the receipt from to B? No. Very clearly, sir, when you are dealing with any show cause notice issued to you for the not raising the e-invoice, the officers are making these allegations in the notice. One, that they say that when you are supposed to raise a e-invoice, you have not raised it because it is a B2B supply. We consider it as a B2B supply, though yours may be B2C, the way that I have told you. So they will say that you are liable for penalty, and immediately they are also cautioning you that your recipient is not going to avail the input credit. So clearly the answer to your query, that if you are supposed to raise a e-invoice but you did not do it, then your buyer is not going to receive the input tax credit. So that is going to be the additional burden that he will mandate you. And there are two queries in the Q&A session, box, that is it mandatory to upload e-invoices within 30 days? Yes, it is going to be made applicable from a future date, and 30 days will be effective from when? If you miss the deadline, what is the remedy? See, as I told you, that it is going to be effective from the date it is going to be announced, most likely to be 1st of April 2025. But if you miss the deadline, what is the remedy? Then you have to pay the penalty, and you have to even compensate your buyer for the input tax credit loss. So I have covered
So there are
both the
few
things, and
questions
then there are two comments from the chat box that I could see, that please conduct webinar on IMS practical challenges. It is highly difficult to manage invoices where number of invoices are more than 500 in numbers. See, sir, that IMS, the introductory session that we have conducted last month. So all those webinar, you can watch it on either YouTube or through the website also, that the entire session is uploaded there. So you please refer to that. So you will get an idea. And but still, if you are in need of it, then please let us know. We will see that whether we need to structure one more session for this. And e-invoice applicable for job work? Definitely not, because in the case of job work, you are not raising an invoice, but you are raising only a job work challan. So it is not relevant in the case of job work. And then there are two queries posted in the Q&A box. We are EOU manufacturing company. Is e-invoice mandatory for export sales? Yes, because EOU is considered as a DTA unit only. You have to. We had accounted in the books. We need to reverse. I do not know what you have accounted in the book. Maybe that you have to you have accounted in the books. Okay, Anil, you are continuing with your queries only, I believe. So you did not raise the e-invoice, though it is mandated to do so. So, but you have accounted in the books, definitely you have to reverse it, and then you have to raise a e-invoice as a subsequent process. And then e-invoice, whether it is applicable for merchant export supply. See, merchant export supply means there will be two back-to-back invoices. One, the manufacturer will be selling it to the merchant exporter. Two, the merchant exporter will be raising a export invoice. So, if you are talking about these two invoices, definitely depending on your PAN, all India total turnover, if it exceeds 5 crores in a year, yes, there is no exemption that you have to raise it.
And Mr.
And
Abdul,
in the chat box that Websol have uploaded the URL link also for going through the IMS, which we have covered last month. So we request you to please go through that. Which will be a useful session for you. And
there is one
then
question, sir, in Q&A session.
all export invoices are accounted in our books. Will there be penalty if e-invoice has not been generated? Definitely, sir, there will be a penalty. If you are supposed to raise a e-invoice and if you have not done it, definitely you have to pay the penalty. Can we raise e-invoice which we are missing out for the financial year? See, you have to pay the penalty, and then certainly that you have to do it. But all those manual invoices are to be nullified in the system also. Otherwise, it will lead to duplicacy for you. And then
Mr. Avinash Kulal, recently you have raised your hand. If you directly want to talk to the sir and ask questions, you can raise your hand or type in a chat box. We can enable you to talk. Mr. Avinash Kulal, if you want to ask any question directly to the sir.
he is not there now.
He is there with
He is there.
multiple
Avinash
accounts.
Kolal is there. But he lowered his hand, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, audience, if you have any other queries, you can reach out to me at pawan.software@websol.com. We can explain you other queries also. We will be sending one post-webinar mailer along with the recording of the webinar and the presentation deck through to your emails. And also next week on Wednesday, we are coming up with another webinar with the topic of e-way bill system. I will be sending you all the registration links and what are the agenda to be covered in that webinar. Please do join in the webinar, audience.
So I'm just reiterating the announcement made by Pawan that next week that we are going to have a very important item that we are going to cover, e-way bill. So if you have got any kind of practical queries, please send us those queries in advance or during the Q&A session in the webinar, that we will be happy to answer all your questions. If there are no more questions, I think that we have come to the end of the session. Thank you for your participation and sparing your valuable time for this session today with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, audience. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Flotex team. Sir, I guess there is a question in the Q&A session. We can take it up and cover it.
Yeah. Please cover IMS, which is added in GSTR 3B in the next webinar. Sir, IMS already, ma'am, that we have covered it, and the link was shared with you. So please go through it. And still, if you have got any kind of doubts in the next session, definitely I'll address your queries.
Thank
Right?
you, Mr. Lakshmi. Yes.
On that note, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Flotex team.